what they're giving because I'm working for a living.
This is the Check APro Radio Show, sponsored by CheckAPro.com. To find pre-qualified local service providers, click on CheckAPro.com. Here's your host, the man with a hard hat and tool belt, Jim Klauck.
And that is me. Welcome to the Check APro Radio Show. I am Jim Klauck, a.k.a. Check APro Joe. Today, on my radio show, we are going to be talking about generators, whole house generators. When your power goes off, you want to have the power back on immediately. And you can do that with a generator. And we're going to get right into this right now. Tony Cutaia is joining me here on the Check APro Radio Show. Tony, how are you?
Doing great. How are you today?
I am living the dream. Thank you so much for joining me today here on the program. Action Generator is the name of your company. The thing I love most about your company is that it's family owned and operated. Almost everyone I talk to is related to you at Action. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your family business?
A whole bunch of years ago, a friend of mine said, Tony, you really need to look into this generator business. He was an old retired electrician. He said, it's just going gangbusters. And so I did and got started. And then a few years later, it just grew and grew. We were real blessed to have that happen. My son was in Florida at the time. I said, hey, look, I'm about to hire some extra people and somebody to run the service end of the business and on and on. And he says, well, what do you want me to do? And he's all in now. Came back from Florida before COVID, and it's just been great. And then my youngest daughter, she pretty much tells me what to do every day here at the office, runs things for the most part. Everybody kind of answers to her. And it's just been good because we've got a great relationship and it seems to work well.
It's important that you get along well with your family when you have a family business, and it sounds like you do. And there are a lot of advantages to that as well. For my listeners, they get to work with a local family-owned and operated business. And the reason why I say local, family-owned and operated is that your corporation, your business entity is located in the Houston area. It's not some company from another city or another state. You guys run it. You're the head honcho over there, and the buck stops with you versus people passing the buck saying, well, we need to send it to Cleveland or San Francisco and have someone authorize. No. It all happens here in your offices located in the greater Houston area. I also want to bring something else up, which is very unique, and the fact that you're not an electrician that does generators. You're not a company that sells generators. You are an exclusive authorized Generac dealer, and that's a big deal. So listen up, everybody, an exclusive authorized Generac dealer. That means you're specialized in one thing. You're not distracted. You don't put ceiling fans in. And so why don't you talk a little bit about the fact that you are exclusive with Generac?
Yeah, it's a great point. For years, I've known a lot of electricians that install generators, a lot of plumbing companies that install generators, a lot of LP companies, actually, liquid propane companies that do the same thing. And it was just kind of an afterthought for them because their homeowners, their customers would ask them, hey, you do this, do you do generators? Oh, yeah, we could do that. And so they do that and they sell them and they may even install it. But after the fact, they're like, you're just going to have to find a certified dealer somewhere to come service a generator because once it's up and running, we're not coming out if there's any issues or you need somebody to change the oil in it or whatever the issue may be. Generac doesn't certify every dealer for repair and for warranty work. And that's what we do. So we're certified. Our technicians are certified by Generac, and we have ongoing training for this to come out and service your generator. If anything happens to it, that's what we're here for. You make one phone call. And just to mention something to you about what you said a while ago, being where everything stops at my desk is we were laughing about it yesterday. Some of the ladies in my office were like, how did this particular customer get to us? And I said, well, they called me on my cell phone. Mm. And the question was, well, how did they have your cell phone? Well, I sold them a generator 9 years ago. And so they're calling me direct for 9 years, even though as we grow, there are people here for that, to answer that phone, to call them, to handle their service agreement, to schedule that appointment and that kind of thing. Or they just sold their home and they said, we're selling our house, but we want to buy another generator and we want to give your information to the new homeowner so they can continue getting the service out of this generator we have. And so it's been interesting that I still get that phone call on a regular basis. By the grace of God, just a default sales cycle continues because we always try to do the right thing. And the way that I've always looked at life, if you just keep doing the right thing, maybe in God's time, but the right thing's going to happen.
Yeah. And, people buy from people and they buy from people they know, like, and trust. Most people don't buy from an entity unless it's Amazon or maybe they're, big GMC truck person who loves that brand. But a lot of people like to buy the dream and passion of the business owner. Even when it comes to Apple products, people still think of Steve Jobs because he was the person, or you've got a Bill Gates or a Walt Disney. People kind of buy the passion from those people that led that. And so that makes a lot of sense. People are going to call you directly because they want to buy from people and not an entity. I'm going to give out Tony's number right now. If you've been thinking about having someone come out to look at your property, look at your home, and get a generator for your home, you should call Tony and his team over at Action Generator. Here's his number, 281-805-8340. Again, 281-805-8340. If you're a regular listener of my show, you know that I always strongly encourage that my expert guests on the radio program bring offers to you, my listener. And so I want to talk about some of the items that Tony is offering. So he's going to come out, free consultation, no charge, which is awesome. I also asked him to throw in some extra things. So when you purchase a new generator from Action Generator, you're going to get a surge protector for free. And in a moment, Tony's going to explain why that's so important. It's worth literally thousands or tens of thousands of dollars because it can save your electronics in your home. Also, and this is a big one, a service agreement, which you really need to have with a generator, such as a Generac generator, which is going to basically power your entire home when your power goes out. That's ordinarily $475 today, absolutely free. And Tony and his team come out twice a year, which is about twice as much, from what I understand, as a competitive company would. So you're going to get twice the attention, and you're going to get the service agreement for free. Now I want to quickly talk about why you may need a generator. And Tony, a lot of people already have been thinking about this, but they don't know who to call. That's what's great about doing this on the radio, being a pre-qualified Check APro member as you are. It's helpful because people, listen to the show. They're like, okay, now I know who to call. Remember, I said a few moments ago, Tony, people like to deal with people. They buy from people, not things. They're getting to know you. So let's talk about what's going on out there. And I'm going to start off by saying, in February 2021, it was dark and cold. The grid failed. It will happen again. That was extreme, but something like that will happen again. We get hurricanes. We get all kinds of storms. Who knows? A tree could fall on a power line and you could be out for just a half a day or a day and a half. And it could be critical, especially if you're elderly, because you need the air conditioning and you may have medical equipment. There's just tons of reasons why you need a generator.
What we're seeing more and more, Jim, is that the grid can't handle the new development. And so all this new development in the greater Houston market has just been so taxing on it. We have entire subdivisions that we kind of kid about that it can be a bright, sunny bluebird day, and all of a sudden it's wiped out for 4, 5, 6 hours, and no one knows why. I don't know what it is, but it seems like almost some of the newer subdivisions are having most of the problems. And I'm not sure why that's the case, but I mean, it goes back to just the lack of infrastructure, most likely, and the capacity and the grid issues that they've had. And, I'm glad that the grid is there for sure, because, it'd be miserable to have to listen to a generator run your entire, day for weeks on end. But when you don't have power, like that ice storm you were referring to, that was the sweetest sound ever.
Mm-hmm.
just to hear the hum of that generator and the air conditioner in the hurricane season, the air conditioner's running and cooling. In the winter, the furnace is running, even if it's electric heat. Most people think, well, I have gas for heat. Well, what they don't understand is that if the blower motor isn't running, they're not going to have heat. It will not let it fire and run. So the misconception of, well, I've got gas heat, I'm going to be okay during the wintertime, during an ice storm, if I lose power, is not how it works necessarily. You have to be able to move that air, that hot, warm air into your home. And without electricity running that blower motor, it's not going to happen. And so that was a big lesson learned by a lot of us during that ice storm.
Call Tony now at Action Generator. His phone number is 281-805-8340. Only 8 of my listeners today are going to get the offer that he has brought. And it's a number of offers, and he can't do this all the time. If you go to his website, which you can, just Google Action Generator, wonderful website, you won't see all of these offers. We're just offering them here on the radio program because I asked Tony to do so. You'll get a free consultation, a free surge protector, which is worth around $400, and you're going to get a service agreement for the first year free, and that's worth about $475. So when you get your new generator, your new Generac generator, and you know what I'm talking about because you've seen them advertised, it's a very, very popular product. Yes, you can get it from a number of different dealers, but you want to go with Action because they're a pre-qualified home service provider here at Check APro, and they exclusively work, not just in generators, but Generac. It's all they do, and they know it well. And they are very, very highly regarded by Generac. Call now. Tony's phone number is 281-805-8340. Once again, 281-805-8340. And today we are talking about your comfort in your home. I talk about comfort all the time, whether it's your HVAC, your insulation, ventilation in the attic. And now we're talking about the electricity in your home. You can have your own power plant. It's called a Generac whole house generator, a whole home generator. That's what it's called, right? For the whole home?
Right. Whole home generator. You bet.
Yeah. And Tony is joining me today from Action Generator. And I'll tell you something, Tony, we take it for granted. We take for granted the fact that when we pull up the driveway and press the button to open our garage door to drive our truck into the garage, that the garage door is going to open. If it doesn't open, which has happened to me, I'm like, the power must be out. Or my door's broken, and it's usually because the power's out, right? And when the power's out in my garage, the power's out everywhere on my property. Now, I have a small ranch. I've got a number of buildings, metal buildings, barns, and I've got a swimming pool, so I've got 3 pumps. And when the power goes out, it is inconvenient. And for some of us, we have to have the power on because we have people who need it. A lot of us spend a lot of time at home. We're retired, and we need the air conditioning, if nothing else. So I would strongly suggest that you continue listening to the program today as Tony and I talk about the importance of having your own source of power when either the grid fails or the local service provider, CenterPoint, sometimes, and they've had a problem. I won't go into details, but just look them up on the news. You'll see they're kind of trying to get things fixed after a couple of problems they've had. We can't depend upon the system all the time, so we need to make our own power. Call Tony and his team right now. Get a free consultation, free surge protector, and the first year of the service agreement, that's worth $475. Absolutely free when you get your new Generac generator. Call now, 281-805-8340. Again, 281-805-8340. Jerry tells me we have 6 of these left, so 2 people have taken us up on this offer. 281-805-8340. Tony, we're going to go out and talk with Wayne right now. How does that sound?
Oh, that's great. I'm ready to hear that.
Hello, Wayne. How are you?
Hello, Jim.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Yourself?
I am living the dream. How long have you had your generator?
At the end of 2020, so almost 5 years.
Almost 5 years. You had your generator installed before the power went out in February 2021.
Yeah, and I was in Florida hunting, and my wife and daughter were here. It ran for 4.5 days the first time.
Yeah.
And so it saved me.
Isn't it great? It just comes on automatically.
It just comes on automatically. It was a godsend because I was in 85-degree weather when they were froze out for 4 days.
Yeah. So your generator was able to bring complete and full power to your home.
Yes, and I lose power 3 to 5 times a year, and it comes on for 30 minutes. It's worth it right there. The one time that you're without power, and then it just comes back on. It's awesome. It's great. It's one of the best investments I ever made.
So you have no regrets at all hiring Action Generator years ago and installing a generator that generates electricity for your entire home.
No regrets, and they actually service it twice a year. It's always a good feeling.
Well, it's kind of like having insurance. You put your head on your pillow at night and you have this peace of mind, right, Wayne?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, yeah, you're your own power plant. It's great.
Right.
It's like being self-sufficient, having your own livestock, having your own garden, having your own energy created, which you do. So do you have natural gas or propane?
Natural gas.
Natural gas fueling your generator. That's...
Yeah, and there's nothing to change, nothing to do. Everything's automatic.
It's a phenomenal machine. Well, Wayne, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to call into the radio program. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You have a good day.
You too. So Wayne's obviously a very happy customer. Do you remember, Wayne, when you installed his generator?
Absolutely. Everybody remembers Wayne.
But he's very enthusiastic, and he made it sound as though without it, his family would not be as protected. And I believe he feels he's the protector of the family, and I think he feels really good about his investment.
No doubt about it. That is an older machine also, and it is just a workhorse. We've been impressed, and I get a phone call from him, every once in a while whenever he's had to have it run to power's house, and he'll send me a text or a phone call. And I really enjoy getting that feedback from homeowners whenever they realize finally that was like the best investment I may have ever made in my home. That's a good feeling. The other thing too is that we may have talked about this before. I was talking to a customer this morning, matter of fact, about it, and they're about to sell one of their homes. They have a generator. We've got, I think, 4 generators on different structures for them, their office and 3 homes. They talked about selling their house, and they were asking about the value of it. They're actually going to end up listing the home with, in this particular unit, it's probably 5 years old, and they're going to get every penny they invested in that generator back when they sell the home in this contract that they have, which to me is just a testament to that's a great investment. If you can get all your money back out of it when you go to sell the home, then that's just a home run, in my opinion. And it's been protecting the house for all these years.
Sure, arguably, you're kind of leasing it for free because what you paid for it, you get back. I can see why that's true versus a swimming pool or a new bathroom or a new kitchen. They talk about how much you get back. Like a swimming pool, they say maybe 50%. That's if someone wants a swimming pool to begin with. So if you spend, $100,000, which is what it costs for some pools today, you lose $50,000 when you sell it. Hopefully you enjoyed that $50,000 worth of pool when you used it for those years. I can see how the generator makes sense because it's as simple as this. Someone who buys your house, who wants to buy your house for all the good reasons. In other words, you've been taking care of it. Having a generator depicts that you've been taking care of your home and you care about your home. So that helps you sell the house. They're going to say to themselves, hey, we've been looking at 3 other houses in the neighborhood, but they don't have a generator. This has one. I'm now sold on the fact I'm going to have to buy one. And if I buy one, I'm going to have to buy one in today's dollars. So the people selling the house bought it for X, but today it's going to be X plus because of inflation. So my point is if someone installed it 8 years ago, they paid 8 years ago dollars. And so you're right. It's a great investment. I'm going to give out your number right now, Tony. I want everyone who has thought about purchasing and installing a generator for their home to call now, get a free consultation from Tony and his team. They'll come out and take a look. They're not going to charge you anything, and they have some great offers here. His phone number is 281-805-8340. Again, 281-805-8340. That is Tony's number at Action Generator. That's not his mobile number. That's not his cell phone, but I'm pretty sure if you become one of his favored customers, you'll be able to reach him directly. Does that sound about right?
Right.
Probably.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. So call now, 281-805-8340. Can we talk a little bit about what it costs for someone to get into this? Now, I understand we don't know for sure all the details of someone's property, of their home, but I know a lot of people are at home now or driving around saying, I can't afford this. And I want to say you can't afford not to get a Generac generator. A Generac generator is a workhorse, and I wouldn't call it necessarily like the Cadillac. I'd call it a good GMC truck version, meaning it's a reasonably priced piece of equipment that is going to do what it does if it's maintained, which is important. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And so it's not by any stretch the most expensive generator you can get. It's probably the most popular generator you can get. You've seen them everywhere. Your neighbor has one, I'm sure. Just look around. It says Generac on them. They're everywhere. So it's a great product. People don't have to pay for it all up front. They could finance it too, right?
That's absolutely right. And more of that is happening, and it doesn't really affect us at all. We like to offer it because it makes it simpler to step into that market and get what you need. It's just like buying a vehicle. It's just even if you had the cash, sometimes it's easier to use somebody else's money, especially if you take advantage of one of the 0% interest programs that we have to offer. So, in my book, if I'm going to borrow that money for 18 months or something like that, and I can do that for interest free, then I'm probably going to do that and just hold on to my cash.
I agree. As they say, for highly qualified buyers. And so, many of my listeners are in a very good position financially. They would love to take advantage of a 0% or even a low percentage loan for a Generac generator. Now, I don't know what it costs for sure, but I've heard before for under $200 in general, people can get into this.
Absolutely. So there's some finance programs out there for the average installation under $200 a month, which to me just seems like an incredible benefit to have that security to be able to repower your home, kind of like the way you put it, kind of have your own little power plant there, right? Your own grid in your backyard so that you're not dependent on, the mother nature having a bad day or anything like that, or the grid is failing. And so for me, I think that's a great investment. I think that's, less than $200 a month. It's just a good financial move, in my opinion. And a ton of people are taking advantage of that. The other thing that you had mentioned earlier, I just didn't want it to get past us before we said something more about it, was once you make that investment into a generator, a couple things came to my mind is that Generac, and we are exclusive Generac dealer, like you mentioned. And the reason that we are a Generac dealer exclusively is that Generac has been in this business longer than any manufacturer on the market in this space, in the residential whole home backup power. What that means is that they've captured 80% of the residential market in our country. And so they have 80% of that market. The other 20% shares through multiple manufacturers. So there's no one even close to them as far as having our research and development, the back office support to support the dealer network, to do parts sourcing and on and on and on, training and tech advice and help, and just to keep the dealer network humming along like they do. That is, from a business owner's perspective, there's just not a better feeling knowing that you have that support at the end of the phone. I can pick up the phone call. My techs are in the field and they call Gen Support themselves straight to Generac. I'm having this issue. I've gone through these steps. for some reason, I'm scratching my head. If that were to happen, Generac gets involved and says, okay, they have the whole team of tech folks there that say, okay, well, let's work through this together. As a corporate entity, they're saying, if we're going to warranty and support that dealer, we're going to do it right. So the tech could be in the field, and Generac Corporation is on the phone with them, walking them through to say, okay, yeah, that one's a little tough. Maybe we had an issue, whatever. They get it corrected right then on the spot. Now the generator's up and running again, and the homeowner's back in business. We deal with Generac directly with warranty work. So the homeowner, if it's under warranty, the homeowner just has zero worries about it. They have no financial responsibility at that point about it, and we deal with that for them. But my 5-year warranty covers end-to-end parts, labor, and travel for a full 5 years, which is spectacular in this space. And so it's just hard to convince people sometimes that warranty, when they get to year 5, if something happens, which it will, it's just like having a car, right? That's why I tell people, look, the reason that Mercedes have Mercedes service departments is because the Mercedes breaks too sometimes.
Sure.
And so you gotta work on it, right? And so it's important, in my opinion, to have that peace of mind, not to worry about it for whatever length of time that extended warranty is.
Call Tony and his team now, 281-805-8340, 281-805-8340 to get your free consultation. And when you get your new Generac generator, you're going to get a free surge protector. That's a $400 value. And you're going to get a $475 annual service agreement free for the first year. And Tony and his team come out twice a year, which is about twice as much as their competition. Call now, 281-805-8340, 281-805-8340. I said competition. I don't like that word, Tony, because I don't really think you have competition. There are people that sell Generac, a lot of them. It's not just the product. You spoke about it in the warranty and the service and the fact that they're the largest out there in residential. But it really comes down to is who is going to install it and service it, because you can get a Generac generator from just about anybody. You can. But who is going to back it? Who is going to consult with you up front to make sure that the install's done right and be there tomorrow to service you? And that's all you guys do. So picture this. If you go to a car dealership and they sell 6 brands and they service 6 brands, they have to know something about 6 brands. I think it'd be odd to go to a GM dealership, not just the brands they have under GM, but if they also sold Ford and Chevy, which would be interesting. But suppose they did, do you trust them as much because they don't specialize in just GM now? They say they specialize in 3. Tony and his team specialize in 1. His number, 281-805-8340. There's only 3 of these offers left, so you must call now, because when the 8 are up, you are not going to get all of these extra goodies. Now, you can always call Tony anytime, and he and his team will come out, and they'll come out for a free consultation. I can't guarantee you're going to get the free surge protector and the service agreement for 1 year at no charge, but put his phone number in your phone, 281-805-8340. 281-805-8340. We're in hurricane season. Hurricane season is long. Do not wait until you hear that there is a storm in the Gulf. It's like insurance. It doesn't work that way. You have to get your insurance before a named storm. I guarantee you, Tony and his team at Action Generator are very busy when a storm is named in the Gulf. They're probably taking care of their current customers to make sure everything's going to run right.
That's right. And to that point, Jim, that service agreement that we're giving away, every 6 months we're at that generator. And what we found is that the number one reason why most generator, no matter what brand it is, will not crank and run when it's supposed to, is that the battery's dead.
Oh.
Just like in your car, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't go out and see that generator, except once every 12 months, once a year, what if the battery went dead 3 months ago, right? Now you need it. How are you going to know if it's it's ready, right? If the battery is still strong enough to start the generator. And so that's one of the biggest reasons we go out every 6 months. So in that service agreement, what we'll do is we're going to go out at 6 months. We're going to do a wellness check. We're going to clean things up. Critters and ants and stuff love electronics. And so we just make sure everything's like it should be. Every time we're on that customer's property, we're going to load test a battery, a true load test, not just checking for voltage, but checking if it has enough amperage in it to actually crank and start that generator. So that's what happens at 6 months. Then when 6 months later, for their 12-month service, we're going to go out and we're going to load test the battery again, clean it up. We're going to change the oil, the filters, plugs, spark plugs. We're going to adjust valves if necessary. Everything that Generac says this is what needs to be done to maintain a good quality running generator and to keep your warranty nice and healthy. And so that's what that is about. The little special part of that is that this includes monitoring from our office. So there's an LTE device on that generator that's going to, when we sell them the generator and install it, it's going to be on the generator. And that LTE device is going to communicate to Generac and back to our office here, where anytime that generator starts and runs for a test run, which is a weekly for our fleet, weekly it's test run for about 5 to 10 minutes. It goes through its own little systems check. What that does is it tells us that the generator is green and it's ready to run. If for some reason, for example, that battery failed and it didn't crank and run for a battery issue, a fuel issue, any other issue, it's going to ping us immediately. So let's say Monday morning at 10 a.m., it's scheduled to run and it doesn't. It pings our machine right now. And we see, hey, Mrs. Jones over in Spring, their generator didn't crank and run like it was supposed to. Now we're being proactive. And instead of waiting until there's an outage and they're in the heat now, stuck in the heat, we can see that. Now we get it on our schedule and say, in the next day or two, we're going to get out there and we're going to go address whatever that issue is and get that generator back online in a good green condition so that it's ready to run again when it is. And that's a 24/7 monitoring system. So it never takes a break. So we're going to know what's going on with that generator all the time.
And the whole idea is to have a great product like Generac and then, of course, have the service. Without having the service, you risk, for some reason, it not cranking up. Now, I live out in the country, and so it's important to always have someone take a look in there to keep the rodents out and other pests, fire ants. And I mean, it's amazing what ends up getting into your generator. Call now, 281-805-8340. Get some peace of mind. Everything from a hurricane, other tropical disturbances, a winter storm like we had back in February of 2021. That was brutal. Tony, I'm not a fortune teller, but I've been around the block. And to your point earlier, we, the people, are really putting a lot of strain on the grid. We're producing more buildings, whether they're residential homes or commercial, and they all need electricity. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. And when we fall, in other words, when the power goes out, it can be catastrophic. I have a feeling we're going to have a power outage, and I don't have any information on it. This is just a pure gut feeling. Within the next couple of years, we're going to have a major power outage that's going to last more than a day. And I don't know why. It could be foreign adversaries that come in and take our grid out because they want to do that. It could be, well, gosh, in the Carolinas a couple of years ago, they shot up a substation or something and took the power down in a community. Or the system just breaks like it did back in February of 2021. You can point fingers all you want. It's CenterPoint, it's ERCOT, it's the federal government. It really doesn't matter at that point when you're freezing or you are boiling in your home because you didn't purchase a generator. We need to take care of ourselves. I'm not saying being an ultra prepper, but I'll tell you, when the power goes out, you're going to be happy that the power is on in your home, and your neighbors are going to be jealous. So lock your doors because people will be wanting to come over and staying cool or heating up in the winter. Tony's number, 281-805-8340. This is a no obligation phone call, a free consultation. I say no obligation because when Tony and his team come out to take a look, they're going to take a look for free. They're going to give you a free consultation. They're going to tell you, okay, we recommend it goes here. We recommend this specific type of Generac as far as size. And because they know all the ins and outs, they understand what your home needs in terms of the type of power. Do you have 100 or 200 or more amp service? What is it? So everyone's situation is a little bit different. And like I said, Tony and his team will come out and take a look, and you'll feel a whole lot better. And also, I want to go back to the pricing, which we really can't give it out over there because we don't know for sure what it's going to cost. But I do know, because I've done some research and I've spoken to people who have purchased a Generac generator. They say for under $200 a month, it's an investment in that when you sell your house one day, you're going to get all your money back for it, and you might sell your house quicker because you do have it. And in the meantime, you have peace of mind and that backup generation power.
No doubt about it.
I am your host, Jim Klauck, a.k.a. Check APro Joe, and Tony's joining me. He is from Action Generator, family owned and operated. If you haven't called him yet, or you didn't get his number because you were driving and now you're in a safe spot, call now to get your free consultation. Tony and his team will come out and take a look at your property, at your home, and make a recommendation. No obligation. Call now, 281-805-8340. 281-805-8340. When you get your new generator, it's a Generac generator from Action Generator. You also get a free surge protector, and you're going to get a service agreement, ordinarily $475, absolutely free, your first year free. You got to call now. 281-805-8340. Tony, before we go into more of why people really need this, let's go out to the phone and talk to Mary, because she has something to comment about her generator. How does that sound?
All right. Very good.
Hello, Mary. Thank you for joining us today here on Check APro Radio. So, are you happy with your Generac generator from Action Generator?
Yes, they installed it originally, and I think I've had it 5 years.
Oh, fantastic. So you've had it for 5 years.
I'm on a propane tank, and so I'm a little different type of install. And they were able to resolve issues with the propane tank and did the installation, and the system works perfectly fine. No issues at all.
Yes. So there's really the two options. There is the propane like you have, or there's natural gas, and you're in an area, probably more rural area, that only has propane.
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Mary, do you feel safer having a whole home generator?
Yes, and I can tell you specifically why. We went through a winter storm where we lost electricity for I think it was over 2 weeks before it was restored. And I never wanted to go through that again. Now, I've gone through hurricanes where I've lost power, but the winter storm, the impact from that was devastating. It froze our well. As you said, I do live in a rural area, so there were a lot of implications to that I didn't realize until we actually went through it. And so I decided at that point that we needed a whole house generator, because to be without electricity for a long period of time, there are so many repercussions of that. And we experienced that same thing last July. I believe the hurricane name was Beryl, and we went 7 days without the electricity being restored. And I didn't experience one problem with my food storage, with refrigeration, because of the generator. And it also runs my well, so we had water.
Yeah, it gives you great peace of mind knowing that if you need it, it comes on. And correct me if I'm wrong, your generator will come on even if you're not home, if you're sleeping, even if you're not aware the power went off, because it automatically turns on, doesn't it?
That is correct. Yes. Yeah. There's when we have a total electric failure, there is about maybe a 15-second delay from losing the power to the generator coming on. And that's the only time you know that you are without electricity.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of equipment. Do you find when you're running your generator that there's any difference in when you're using your regular electric power? In other words, your generator generates enough electricity where you don't feel a difference anywhere in your home?
That is correct.
That's just amazing.
People at Action Generator, they are a very professional, caring group of people and just do an excellent job.
Yeah. And they also do your maintenance on the generator too, don't they?
Yes, I have maintenance. I believe they're twice a year. They come out and check things, make sure. But I'm also hooked up to their satellite feed where you can see how the generator is operating. It's an online service.
Sure. So they can monitor it as well. So it's not just you, the homeowner, but they at a distance can monitor what's going on with your generator.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. You've been fantastic, Mary. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
All right, Tony. So Mary seems to be a very, very happy customer. I love talking to people who have a Generac generator. No one ever says they regret it.
Absolutely. I have not ever heard that from anybody. In fact, I get phone calls on a regular basis and say, "Hey, Tony," and I'm thinking, well, something must be going awry with, their generator or something. And I just want to tell you, everything's great. We lost power last night for 6 hours and it was just crazy hot outside. Generator came on, ran, powered the house all night long. We slept like a baby and there's tickle pink. I get that phone call on a regular basis. So it just makes, that makes what we're doing a lot more enjoyable whenever you actually getting feedback from the homeowner, just so excited that they made that investment. The one thing I wanted to mention too was that on these MLS listing, sometimes they're putting it under the amenities page and it'll say, central AC, swimming pool, whatever it is. It'll have whole home generator in there sometimes. I think it's becoming more of a natural or it's an expectation that the homeowner is going to have going forward, that if they have, like you said earlier, if they're picking from 3 or 4 properties to purchase and everything else is pretty much the same and one of them has a generator on it, that's likely going to be what the home they purchase. And we're seeing that more and more. And a lot of homeowners have called and said, look, we're buying a new home, selling our home. Should we move our generator with us and have install it at the new property? Well, the first question I ask is, have you had the appraiser put a value on that generator? Well, no. Why don't you ask them? Make sure that they're aware that it's on your property. Without exception, every one of them has said, oh my gosh, we're going to leave it on the house because we can get more for it.
Yeah.
It's 5 years old, 10 years old. They're getting more than they paid for it in some cases. And they'll say, we're just going to buy a new one for the new home. And so they do. And that's just a testament to the value of it and what the entire market, what they think the value of it is also. And so we're seeing that just as a knee-jerk reaction. It's kind of like central AC nowadays, is that if I'm going to go look at a home to purchase and I have to pick between one that has central AC and one that doesn't, it's not a question, man.
No, there is no question there, Tony. Yeah,
right.
That's for sure.
So that's just the trend these days, is that's how that market is going.
Call Tony and his team at Action Generator and get your free consultation, 281-805-8340. His number, again, is 281-805-8340. I talk to people about their generators, and they're like, I didn't even know that the power went off. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, apparently the power went off, but, I was in the bathroom doing my stuff, and I come out, and my wife says, I think the power went out. I hear the generator and the lights flashed or went off for, a few seconds. So how long does it take for that generator to kick on?
Great question. It typically, as soon as the power is gone from your utility provider, then but typically 15 to 60 seconds max, and the whole house is repowered. So what we get a phone call every once in a while, and we kind of laugh to ourselves about it because the homeowner will call and say, "Hey, the generator's running outside, but the power's on, and why, shouldn't it shut off?" And so the question, we know what's going on, but to your point, they didn't even know it happened. They were doing something else. The power went out, the generator started, powered the home, and now they hear the generator because they walked outside and they're like, "Why is the generator running?" And so we get the phone call. And the first question we ask is, "Mrs. Jones, is the green light blinking on the side of the generator?" "Yes, it is." That means it's actually powering your home.
Mm.
And because the power's still out.
Yep.
And so that is a very common question that we get because it is so seamless. And today it's a much cleaner power than it ever has been. You just cannot tell the difference in most cases when the house is running on gem power versus it's running, because people have this thought in their head that, 15 years ago, I had a little portable generator that I have to go put gas in and drag it out and put an extension cord in. And every time something started in the house, then, the whole house dimmed a little bit, all the bulbs and the lights flickered and everything. That's just kind of yesterday's technology. And it's not what's happening today. So it's kind of interesting to see that. The other thing too, Jim, that I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of is that what we have seen in the last few years are more and more medical needs as the reason for getting a home generator. We've got people on all kinds of medical equipment from, you name it, the whole gamut, but from heart machines to, everything out there. And some people are just in a condition that they're bedridden, that happens on a regular basis. It is a incredibly gratifying feeling to know that we're able to help in a situation like that, to go and make sure that that home is going to be repowered and they're not going to skip a beat with the medical needs of their loved ones. And that is something that we are seeing more and more of all the time.
Yeah, no, it's so important. So many people are living longer, and a lot of people actually aren't as healthy as they used to be. But because they are living longer, things start to fall apart. So it's interesting. And they're at home. A lot of my listeners are people who are over 50 years old. They're retired. They spend a lot of time at home, and they do have the need to have the power be there, whether it's being brought in by the utility company or they're generating that power themselves. Call now to get a free, no obligation consultation from Tony and his team at Action Generator, 281-805-8340. Tony's number again is 281-805-8340. This is a really good time to do this, because when people say, when is it a good time to start a business? When is it a good time to get married, have children? Now. It's always the best time now. If you're considering this, as you listen to us talk, it's something that's been on your mind, and this should nudge you to at least learn more to get your free, no obligation consultation. 281-805-8340. You have nothing to lose. You're going to be more educated. I love doing the show, Tony, because I get to educate my listeners on a lot of different things in terms of home service. I believe in people being safe and comfortable. A whole home backup generator is something that's going to keep you safer, and it is going to keep you more comfortable. We live in extreme heat. You go back over 100 years, or even a little less, we didn't have as many people living in Houston, Texas. And the reason why is because we didn't have air conditioning. So when your air conditioning goes out in these newly built structures we have, which are not ventilated well to live without air conditioning, you're going to need to move out. So if the power goes out because of a storm or the grid goes down for more than 12 hours, you're calling your neighbors and friends who have a generator and you're moving in with them, or you're going to a hotel. Don't do that to them. Treat yourself well. Call now, 281-805-8340. As I said, I've done some research. For under $200 a month, you can get a brand new Generac generator from Action Generator and be safer and more comfortable in your home.
And Jim, the other thing too, that we haven't just come out and said it because you made a point, that every home is a little bit different as far as the installation requirements. So maybe where the electric meter is versus the gas meter is, because we have to kind of marry those two at the generator to have electricity and the gas together for it to run. That really makes a big difference on the price, the overall price for the generator. But I'd like to at least share with your listeners that somewhere on average between $12,000 and say $15,000 is probably not an unreasonable expectation to have to repower most residential homes.
That's not a lot of money. Think about what people will spend to upgrade a car. So they'll be looking at a car and they'll be like, okay, this is a $40,000 car base, but I want those amenities in it. And they'll spend an extra $15,000 for the same car with a little more luxurious amenities. $12,000 to $15,000, you're getting the whole generator that's going to power your home, which is worth way more than heated seats in a car.
Right.
Right?
And you're not gonna, that's right. And you're not gonna get your money back out of it.
No.
When you sell it.
Yeah. Oh no, you lose all that. As soon as you roll off the lot, you've lost the $15,000.
That's right. That's right. So, so a lot of the people that are, our age, the 50 plus crowd that we're talking to right now, probably is most of us are thinking the same thing, that, I may have been thinking that it was going to be $20,000 for this. And that's just not the case, right?
Yeah.
Unless they have a giant house, and then we can address that. But for most people, that's a reasonable expectation, 12 to 15.
Yeah.
That's not something that's so unreasonable. I mean, you put a sun deck on your house and you spend that in a heartbeat.
Exactly. Having all the things you have in your home that you could spend $12,000, $15,000 on could be worthless if you don't have power to be comfortable and run those things. Hey, Tony, believe it or not, the show is over. I appreciate you joining me here today on the Check APro Radio Show. Once again, Tony's number, call now because, we're just about out of these offers, but we'll allow one more. Call now, 281-805-8340. Again, 281-805-8340. Tony, thank you so much for joining me today.
Really enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
And thanks to everyone for joining me again this week here on the Check APro Radio Show. Have a safe weekend. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Check APro Radio Show. For more information on how to select the right contractor for your project, visit our website, checkaproradioshow.com. Join us again next week at the same time.